What is up, lady bots and gentle droids? I am Dylan, the Technogiz guy, and I heard you like Android on your radio, bro. What is up, everybody? So here in front of me, I have the ComJot CJ-1. So ComJot is a really small company. They make two products. They make this, the CJ1, and they make the CJ26, which looks more like a regular phone with an antenna port. This is not the normal antenna port that comes on here. I have an adapter to go from SMA to BNC, and then this is just a signal stuff antenna. What is so special about this radio? Because there's nothing really special about a radio with a removable antenna. And who is ComJot? Why does this look like a phone? Because it is. So this radio runs Android 14 as its operating system. So it is a fully featured phone. It has dual SIM. It has an SD card slot, which is better than most flagships nowadays. USB-C. The only thing it doesn't have going for it is it doesn't seem to support 5G, but it does support 4G, which is good enough for what I'm using this for. Then inside of this, which is why it's so thick, it has a dual band DMR capable radio transceiver. So if I pop open in here to the Unified Radio app, this is perfect. So I just opened this, and as you can see, it's telling me that there is a new update available. And I'm really glad it did that while I'm on video, because here's why. This product is very much a beta product. It used to be alpha, but it just left alpha and went to beta. The software has bugs, but not as many as you'd expect for the size of the team. The updates, they're very frequent. So I bought this when we went to Hamvention. By the way, there's a link down in the description where you can get this for $500, which is pretty good of a deal. That's less than I paid for this, and it's less than you can get this at HRL. So if you want to mess around with one of these, check that link out, because I know that link is temporary. Once that link does not work, I will be linking to Ham Radio Outlet where it'll be the full price. But the updates. So this thing has gotten probably 24 different updates in the time that I've owned it. It went from alpha into beta, and there's been at least one update every week on the beta since they went into beta. Some weeks there's more than one. Some weeks there's 2 or 3. And yeah, a lot of them are small little bug fixes and patches, but a lot of them are also really interesting, good features. So I'm going to update this really quick while I talk about some of the other benefits that this radio has. Okay, so this is actually take number 2. The reason I am filming this entire video again is because, 1, I lost the screen recording that I took of this radio. 2, I have gained a lot of information in the last 3 hours. Let's talk about it. So first and foremost, the web portal for the Unified Radio app. Okay, so a lot of things have actually changed in the last few hours. I have gained a lot of information, so I'm going to refilm this segment. Everything I said in the beginning of this video is still relevant. However, I'm now fixing my screen recording. So this is the Unified Radio app. You can see I have this really nice minimal custom launcher on the radio. If I open up Unified Radios, which is the app that ComJot recommends. Now, I thought that ComJot and Unified Radios were the same company. That is not true. I found out that they are 2 separate entities, that they just work closely together, so that way the ComJot devices like the CJ1 that I have and the CJ26 work well with the Unified Radios app. But the actual Unified Radio app is designed to go on any Android device that happens to have a radio transceiver. There are some caveats. I'm going to show you guys how some of these features that are in this, because they're really cool, but there is a caveat at the end, and I will talk about it. So right off the bat, we can click channels. We have 3 options, which the local repeater map is a new option. By the way, you guys saw me update this radio a bit ago. In the last 4 hours, another update has come out for this radio. So I am now running the latest version again. So The local repeater map was added in the version before the most recent one. What happens if you open the unified repeater directory is you see all the repeaters that are around you, and you can click on one. So you used to be able to click on these and one-click program. Now you have to click on the name, then you can click program radio to this channel. Once you program it, it's just in there. So they have very clearly made the unified radios app a lot faster when it comes to programming RF frequencies, because this used to take a while. If I come into channels here and I hit my cloud memory channels, now these are the channels that I have saved using their cloud interface that then get cached to the radio so I can call upon them. So I have my local repeaters here. I've got some radio over IP stuff. So as of right now, this app is able to do DMR over IP, meaning you do not need a hotspot to do DMR. It supports all of the major DMR like talk group providers, and like I'll key up to the ham radio crash course talk group because there's usually not a whole lot of traffic on there. Keying into the radio over IPs takes a little longer than RF, but it's still pretty quick. So it's connected, and if someone were to talk, we would actually see their name and where they're from down here under this last heard section. So radio over IP, really cool feature. I have a DMR hotspot, but I don't carry it. I haven't actually carried it in a while because I don't want to carry two Pis around with me all the time. And in my car, I already carry around my All-Star node. See that video on how to set it up here. But so yeah, I haven't carried this in a long time. I just didn't use DMR because I didn't want to carry two hotspots. This being able to do DMR over the internet is really cool. And it's made me actually start using DMR again. And go back to an RF channel and go to one of the weather channels here. I think it's weather 6 is what I can pick up in my office here. So it takes a little bit of time to switch from radio over IP to RF. And if I'm in my office right now, so I'm underground, so it's a little hard to get the signal. But yeah, so I can kind of hear the weather station in here. Turn that down. The knob. I really wish this knob was able to change channels and not volume, because there's volume buttons, and this would be a way better use if I could program different channels and cycle through them. I showed you guys the cloud memory channels. I showed you guys the repeater directory. What's this new local repeater map? Well, if I click it, it's basically the exact same as the repeater directory, except you get a map, and you can click on the repeaters, see their, information, and it looks like you're not able to program the repeater from the map. So you have two different places that show basically the same data. Only one of them can actually program the repeater into the radio. I'm sure they'll fix that in an update. This middle button here, this used to only be for messages, and it's messages between other people running the unified radio app. So somebody would have to be running either a ComJot device or one of those R finders and running the unified radio app to use this. So this is not APRS messaging, it's not email, it's solely through unified radios, and I don't like that. They also have radio teams, which I have not set up yet because I don't have anyone else that has one of these, so I can't use that. And then the other thing is on the air. I really don't like this feature. It's a cool feature, and a lot of people might like it, but what it does is it shows the users that are currently using unified radio, whether they're on a ComJot device or other device. And the problem is this is opt out. So like right now, I have my location off because I do not want random people knowing where I am just because I'm using a radio. That's not good practice. It should be opt in, not opt out. We can go over here to the options, and options actually have a lot of really cool settings. You can turn on APRS over IP, so this will actually use real APRS. It will report your location to the APRS server over the internet. You can do the device information, which will just give you some basic stuff about the device. You can hit my location. I actually really like this feature. My location will show you your approximate address, the nearest intersection, so if you need to call like a first responder or something, that is information they're going to want because it helps them find you. You also get your GPS coordinates, and because it's a ham radio, you get your amateur radio grid square. You also get the US National Guard grid square. So that's really cool. Sound Manager actually lets you change some of the different sounds. So you can come in, and if you want to do like a push to talk sound or like a Roger beep, you can put those in here. I have PTT sound effects turned off because I cannot stand when I hear somebody key a radio and it goes, no. So I have that turned off, but if you turn it on, then you're able to set different tones for FM push to talk, DMR push to talk over RF, and radio over IP push to talk, which is kind of cool that you can set different tones for all three. Again, I'm going to leave that off. The push notification sound is changeable as well. It's defaulted to this sound called mail, and then you can use any custom sound you want. Radio over IP connected notification and radio over IP disconnected are also things that you can change. Radio Teams configuration, I'm going to turn that off because I don't have Radio Teams set up. You can disable PTT/transmit. So if you're listening to a frequency and you don't want to transmit on it, you can disable your PTT temporarily. They do give you microphone gain controls in the radio. So you get RF microphone gain level and you get radio over IP microphone gain level. Metric display enable. What that does is it will display the distance for where somebody is in relation to you in metric. It's off by default because ComJot is an American company. I prefer using the metric system. I actually usually have this enabled. It's enabled in the cloud, but it doesn't always keep that setting on the radio. One of the bugs of a beta product. Then down at the bottom, you have tools. So you have a call sign lookup, which I'm not going to look a call sign up because I don't want to dox anyone on YouTube, but it does work. It absolutely does work. I've tested it. I actually used it at Field Day a little bit to look up call signs. Amateur Radio Toolbox is a bunch of different cool little calculators and stuff like that. There's an SWR, feed line loss, antenna length, power budget, grid square, coil and inductor calculator. So all kinds of really cool calculators and stuff that I'm sure a lot of hams are going to get a big fresh out of. You can submit a Skywarn report if that's your thing. There's also a button to do HF conditions. Now, I wish they would change the name of this because it's labeled HF conditions, but it shows all of the band conditions. So right up at the top, you have solar data, you have aurora conditions, you have HF propagation, and then you have VHF propagation and UHF propagation. Then they also included microwave conditions and geomagnetic solar activity and weather conditions. Yeah, that should not be called condition or HF conditions because it's honestly going over way more. It should just be called conditions. Cool feature though. I love having easy access to being able to see if the bands are open or not. Like right now, I can see that 30 and 20 look really good. And it looks like apparently 70 centimeters reporting a moderate tropospheric ducting. So I covered all the cool stuff about this radio. What's some of the negative stuff about this radio? ComJot says that this is open source. I don't fully agree with that. Here's why. The operating system is Android 14, and that is technically an open source operating system. They do provide both the Google version and the de-Googled version, if that's your thing. However, none of the source code is actually available. The only thing that has been made available, and now that I know that Unified Radios is not tied to ComJot, that actually makes a lot more sense. The only thing that ComJot has actually released in regards to this radio and its functionality is a single PDF about how to program your own app for using the radio transceiver, which I actually plan on learning how to develop Android apps so I can try to see if I can build my own app using their documentation. But here's something that's really bad. This connector is the only way you have of putting a speaker mic on this radio. I have no idea what this connector is. I even tried to look up the actual OEM because ComJot does not make these phones. They are importing them from a company in China called Ultraphone or Ultriphone or something like that. That's okay. A lot of companies do that. That's fine. Even on that company's website, because they use this port on other devices, and they actually make a camera that you can plug into this, and it's like an endoscope kind of camera or like a borescope. You could stick it down in like engines and stuff. Really cool, and I may actually pick one up and see if it'll work with this. But they do not tell you, they just call it their accessory port. And the ComJot speaker mic is $50. It's $49 I bought one 2 months ago and I have not received it. I have the receipt sitting in my email. I have not received tracking. I have not received confirmation. All I have is the receipt from buying it. That's the only way you have of connecting a speaker mic or anything like that. If you want to do headphones, you either have to Bluetooth headphones to the radio to be it because it's Android, or you have to use a USB-C adapter to plug headphones in. I am going to be upfront. I paid $700 for this radio, which was at the time when I bought it at Hamvention, it was cheaper than MSRP and it was a brand new device. The person had bought it and he didn't want to deal with it being an alpha, which is funny because 2 days after I bought it, it moved from alpha to beta. There is currently a deal where you can buy this for $500. I don't know how long that's going to last. It's only through ComJot's site. So in the description, I will have a link to where you can get it for that $500 price. Once I see that that link no longer works, I will be changing that out for the ham radio outlet price. If you want to pick one of these up, I would get it at the $500 price because that's honestly the price I think these should be, especially given what I'm about to tell you next. As I was editing this video, I logged into the Unified Radio portal, which I'm going to do on my computer here. If I come over here and I go to unifiedradios.com, go to the user portal here. Okay, so right here where this says subscription, this status used to say exempt. About 2 days ago, it said exempt. As of today, when I logged in to get some screenshots for this video, I saw that it says trial until July 31st, 2025. No time lost, your subscription will automatically start on August 1st, 2025. So I knew this was coming because this subscription box has been here for a while. However, I did not think it was going to happen this quickly, given that the Unified Radio app is still in beta. I don't know if this means that they're planning to move into production soon. I hope not, because as much as they update it and as much as they're adding features, there are still a lot of issues under the hood that need to be kind of fixed and rectified before they move out of beta. But who knows how much they're going to get done in the next month, because as I'm filming this, it's only July 2nd. Obviously, when I saw this, I was very livid. I filmed an editor note and then I reached out to the company on Facebook. I did not expect that they would get back to me before this video went up. Joe, I think he's the CEO of ComJot. He is basically the main guy responsible for like this radio and the CJ-26. He actually direct messaged me on Facebook after I tried to submit a post to the group asking about what happens if I don't pay the subscription fee. So I'm gonna pull this up on my other monitor. I'm not gonna show this on the screen because I don't want to dox his name, even though he is pretty public with his name and whatnot. Basically, what I got in response was, to answer directly, if you choose not to pay the subscription fee on July 31st, 2025, the RF functionality of your device will continue to work exactly as it has. You will still be able to use its core radio functionality without interruption. However, the subscription fee supports the Unified Radio cloud services that power advanced platform capabilities beyond traditional RF, such as contact synchronization, portal radio management, over-the-air updates, enhanced directory access, etc. Those cloud services rely on infrastructure that costs thousands of dollars to maintain. Unified Radio's goal is not to maximize profits, but to keep the platform sustainable for all users into the future. They appreciate your understanding and support as they continue to develop and improve the product while balancing those ongoing costs. Basically, most of the connected features that I just went on about saying how this radio is really great are going to stop working. By the way, I have no idea what the subscription fee is. I asked. What I was given was, I don't have that information right now. That's up to Unified Radios. I am just a contracted developer so that their app works well with the ComJot devices. They will be determining more information in the coming weeks. Then he replied after I said something else. He said, "We all do well when we work together to build great products. I don't see it costing more than 1 or 2 cups of coffee from Starbucks a month. No one is looking to get rich, just offset the cost of server hosting and development." Now, that sounds to me like it's going to be like $10 a month. For an $800 radio, I'm not paying $10 a month. for cloud features. Now, I understand they said that the RF will still work. And they did release the RF instructions in the form of a PDF. So if you know Android development, you could build your own app. And I don't have any fault with the ComJot team because I understand it's not their decision. I also understand that Unified Radios has to make money. They have to be able to afford to keep it going. But I also understand ham radio operators. Nobody is going to want to pay a subscription for a radio. And I mentioned that to Joe on Facebook. And here's where I am really starting to get a little upset about this. I said it would be really neat if the Unified Radio team could open their source code, because the radio is supposed to be open source. Everything's supposed to be open source. And that's a big appeal in the ham radio market, because the ham radio market has built its own stuff and modified its own equipment since its inception. When this hobby started, people were building their own transmitters because there was no companies building them. Even people now still do that for fun. My friend has a legal limit AM transmitter that he has in his shed that pulls like a lot of power. It pulls like 2,000 watts or something like that when he's keying. It's ridiculous. And he built it for fun. So ham radio is very much an open source hobby. Now, you might just think, I'm being crazy, I don't want to pay my subscription, whatever. I texted my friend about the radio because he has been kind of following this. He was considering buying one of these. And I told him, I said, yeah, so the subscription fee, I don't know what it's going to be. It now says it's coming August 1st. And apparently it will be between 1 and 2 cups of coffee a month. His first reaction, and I'm going to read this, I'll have to censor it. His reaction to me telling him that there will be a subscription fee, even then I said it was going to be the price of 2 cups of coffee. Mind you, he is a radio operator. He makes more money than me. And normally he's perfectly fine to spend money on things like that he would enjoy. His exact words are, "Get fucked. I'm not paying for a subscription radio." But that should tell you all you need to know. 2 people with different walks of life, and by the way, I make decent enough money. I can afford a $10 a month subscription, but I won't, because I paid $700 for this radio. That is more than I've paid for any other radio besides my 705 and 7300. Other than my 705, though, this is tied to my 7300 because I got a really good deal on it from HRO. See that video up here. A radio, by the way, both of those radios, I consider to be significantly better products than this. They do not have subscription fees. And I do really enjoy this device. I think this thing is awesome. The Swiss Army knife of ham radio. But that subscription is going to kill it. And period. End of story. The subscription will kill it because nobody, especially hams, don't want to pay a subscription after they've already bought the radio. So anyway, I asked about the open sourcing of the software, and he sent me a GitHub link, and he said, here's an open source project that was started. Now, I got really excited because I figured somebody is out there that is more talented than me, and they know Android development, and they're building an app that isn't going to cost money. I click on the GitHub link and it doesn't exist. The user exists still, but the repo does not exist. So either the person has made it private or they have given up on the project and deleted the repo. I clicked on it right after he sent it to me, by the way, too. So he knew about this repo and had it saved, ready to go, but he didn't bother checking to see if it was still there because the repo's not him. I actually did find his GitHub account. It's empty, by the way. The gentleman who's supposed to be making this ComJot RS software on GitHub, he does have other repos, so he is a developer, but the repo that I was sent doesn't exist. You have the company's owner telling people, hey, here's an open source project that you can check out and follow. I would love to try to send a direct message to this person and see if they're still actively working on it. Maybe they just pulled the repo down for a bit. But I have a feeling they started the project and gave up. This is the initial review of this radio. That's what this was planned to be. And I plan to say a lot of really good things about this product. My only complaints were really that it wasn't as open source as I would like, which then I found out the two companies aren't linked, so I can't fully blame them for that. I couldn't root the device. That's also not ComJot's fault. I asked if I could root it. They didn't say no. They then provided me both the Googled and de-Googled ROMs and the software to flash them. They also provided me the software to fix the IMEI numbers, because when you flash the ROM, it screws up the IMEI numbers and you have to fix it. They provided me that software, which is actually MediaTek's, which is what the chip is inside of this, actual flashing software. So they provided me what I asked for. It's just the fact that MediaTek does not let you root the phone. Someone else might be able to do it that's better than me. I tried. It has no headphone jack. That's something I really don't like about it, but it's something I can get over because I'm wearing an AirPod right now. And I can also use USB-C. But like the connector that you do have, even if ComJot does not know the name of this connector, even if it's not like a clone of a Motorola connector or something, dude, give me the pinout, which I know they have because they made a speaker mic. The company doesn't make a speaker mic unless they do, and they don't list it on their website. But like ComJot had to contract that speaker mic with the Chinese company that makes these phones, which means they have the pinout. Somebody has the pinout to this, and it should be released because if I can find a connector or build something like open source, if you don't want to pay the subscription and you think this is cool, let's work together to build something that will work. Because if the app features are there, and the biggest problem is the back-end web hosting, all we have to do is build some kind of decentralized platform where any user can just spin up like a server and host it, which for someone like me who runs server rack in my basement on the other side of that wall, I would happily spin up a web endpoint that I could VPN to or forward, or maybe we do it like a crypto type thing where it's a decentralized network so everyone contributes in and we do it for free. I got a bunch of different ideas of how we could keep this being a good product, because I promise that subscription model, it doesn't matter how cheap it is, even if it's like $1 a month, that subscription model will kill this product. Hams do not want to pay for things twice, let alone repetitively. It's bad enough that a lot of those features are tied to the internet, so if the cell phone service runs out or anything like that, it literally is just a fancy radio. I'm not saying don't get it. In fact, I'm telling you guys that you should get this radio. I still think it's a fantastic product, and I think it has the potential to be an amazing, great addition to the ham radio arsenal. But we need the community to step up because subscriptions aren't working. That's the only way this product is going to last. I want to see this product succeed. I want to see ComJot succeed. The Android radio type thing, I really would. If I would have known that the price was going to drop on this, I probably would have just saved my money and bought a CJ26 because it's a better device. It has 5G connectivity. It's actually like a modern Android phone where it's all screen and whatnot, but then it just has the antenna. Yeah, so I would have gotten that one for the same price because they dropped the price after I bought mine. And then they dropped it again with that deal. So I'm not salty about it, but if you're going to get into it, I would definitely try to get into this on that $500 price because it's going to lose a lot of its features shortly unless you're okay paying a subscription. And that being said, I probably will at some point try the subscription to see what it's about. But I'm going to need to see more features or the price is really going to have to be good. If it's like $2 a month, I may get the subscription and use it and see how the radio does and all that. But even then, I really don't want more subscriptions. I have been canceling subscriptions left and right. I don't want monthly bills. I don't like it. I spend enough money. I don't want to spend more money on a hobby for a radio I've already paid for. That was my rant, guys. If you guys want to see the updates that I will post in the form of shorts about this radio and other various things that I plan on posting shorts about, please subscribe and hit that bell notification because you'll get alerts when I post. And not to mention the fact there are 3 different security vulnerabilities within unified radios that, for me at least, a security conscious person, with a lot of these being opt out, and I can't view the source, so I don't know if someone's still getting this location data. That's not acceptable to me. I'm actually considering turning location access off to the unified radio app. I'm not saying that they're malicious. I'm saying that there are 3 different areas that track your location. All 3 of those areas attempt to share your location, which, don't get me wrong, sometimes I do want to do, but not all the time. And I just don't trust, because I can't view the source code, that somebody somewhere at Unified Radios can't just randomly look up my location because I'm using their app. So I turn things on and off, and sometimes it doesn't work. So how can I trust that when I say I want private mode, nobody can see my location? That includes Unified Radios. I don't want them to have my location unless I willingly say, yes, I'll share my location through your servers. You have a subscription platform coming, and you have untrustworthy code that we can't audit. That's not ham radio friendly. Hams are going to eat this software alive. And I hope that that does not affect the ComJot radios, because even with all of my problems I've had with this radio, it has still been such a great device. I love carrying it. Being able to do DMR over IP is great. Being able to load Android apps on here is really awesome, because I've been using this to do Meshtastic. Now I don't have to kill my phone's battery doing Meshtastic. That's all for this video. I know this one was a little bit of a long one, but I wanted to make sure I got not only my actual thoughts and review after using this radio for a month out, but I wanted to make sure that I let you all know about this coming subscription and the kind of problems that are arising with the open source nature of this device. Again, I don't fully blame ComJot for that. They have given me everything I've asked for. They do provide radio documentation. They gave me the software I would have needed to root the device if I could have. MediaTek is the problem on rooting it. ComJot honestly has been great. Even when I had a problem, when I flashed the ROM and my IMEIs got messed up, I didn't realize what was going on until I messaged their support team. They got back to me in like a day, sent me a download link on how to fix it with the ROMs, the flashing tool, how to find the IMEIs numbers, how to put them in. They're doing good work. They're very helpful. They're very responsive. But I can't, in good faith, recommend unified radios. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like. If you're new to the channel and you like what you see, please subscribe. Maybe consider ringing the bell so you get notifications when I post. I am Dylan, the TechnoGiz guy. I will see you in the next one.